I didn't expect to see it through the autonomous computer use agent that's built in here, but that is pretty cool. Stocking this DGen's wallet, I think is what it said. Wow. How many attendees they have. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Abacus AI Agent, which is described as, if we click right here, a God-tier, general-purpose agent capable of complex tasks. It can do deep research, integrate with Google Workspace, create presentations, and build apps. These apps can be deployed and shared with others. Now, truly, this is basically an all-in-one AI agent platform that can perform research and can create apps and then actually deploy them live, which is what we're going to be doing for today's video. So, first and foremost, this video was sponsored by Abacus AI, so thank you to Abacus for allowing me to continue putting out videos at a very high rate of speed. Beyond that, today's specific task is going to be something that is near and dear to my heart because we're going to be vibe coding something to do with Polymarket and a finance dashboard with this. I have not perfectly tweaked the prompt for this yet, but the culmination of this will be some form of Polymarket financial dashboard explorer type app, which will then be able to actually see live deployed online and play with. So to begin, let's just talk a little about the Abacus AI agent, and then we'll jump into some fun vibe building. Now we can see on this homepage, there's a bunch of examples where you could essentially click on one of these and then build off of it. Some of these are pretty cool. There's some RAG implementations and things of the sort. However, there are also some financial related things like the stock investor, which I personally find to be pretty interesting. Now, beyond that, we do also see some browser use code chatbots, and something interesting about this that we'll actually see when we're building our product is it does have a virtual machine sandbox that it can actually perform tasks in. So the opportunities to actually connect specific things and even have this perform autonomous actions online does exist, which is pretty interesting. Now for this video, I'm not necessarily going to be showcasing like, hey, let's watch it auto post on X, but that does seem to be a capability that exists with this platform, which is pretty darn cool, I guess, could be said, depending on one specific type of use case. Now, I want to quickly showcase a previous task I'd run with this just to get a feel for exactly what goes on, and then we'll look at our prompt for the Polymarket dashboard. Now, in order to get my feet wet with this platform, I had just initially sent it a simple query asking if I should buy Apple stock. As one would expect with a sort of agentic style thing, it followed up with some additional questions just to get a better understanding of what my goal was, which I gave it the answers to. And really, what we see the culmination here is kind of a simple, interesting looking like web summary that was generated in a single HTML page. The actual process that occurred when looking at this is one of the more interesting things and pertinent things about this agent, where this thing went and did a ton of research in terms of trying to find things. We also see here that it is actually running terminal commands, and that lends itself to the mention where it does have this little like autonomous sandbox that it can play with. And this is actually kind of neat in my opinion. So this allows it to function very agentically and could definitely also be used for some of those automation tasks as well, being that it has a grasp on being able to use this. So you could log it into something here and then be like, okay, post for me on this schedule, which is interesting, but I'm not going to showcase that probably in any video. Regardless, we can see that if we do expand some of these thought processes here, we see that it was just running scripts, but above that, we see a bunch of search results here as well. And interestingly enough, this was searching X to find things. Now, one would not want to trade specifically based off of information that they found on X. However, in terms of sentiment analysis and just gathering data sources for that, that is actually something good to be able to get. And a lot of the culmination of this specific thing that I ran just to kind of become familiarized with this platform was seeing its research capability and things of the sort. And I've always mentioned in the past, whenever I do happen to include Grok in a video, whether it be a video only on Grok or a testing video, its ability to search X is something that I find very valuable, especially depending on one's specific need for finding user sentiment. And really the culmination of this task was just a single website that basically gave us a huge summary with technical analysis, some estimations, even going as far as giving us a probability for the price prediction in 3 months for a bull scenario, a base scenario, and a bear scenario. It did also give some specific like mentions of this by larger financial institutions and recommendations. In terms of cost, the subscription is $10 per month, and for that you get 3 free tasks with the agent. Additionally, you can upgrade to the Pro for an additional $10, and then you get more access to a powerful AI agent. And now with that out of the way, let's take a look at the prompt we're going to be using with our agent and then get to building. So for the specific prompt we're going to be giving this, we're telling it to build and deploy a full stack web app called Polyscope, a Polymarket analytics dashboard. Now, Polymarket recently released, or at least did something with their API to make it far more accessible and usable. And the cool thing about all of these specific data sources we're going to be using to actually populate our Polyscope app with Polymarket data, they don't require authentication or anything. So we can basically plug these into a good looking front end and it will become populated with relevant Polymarket data, which is pretty cool to see. Additionally, the specific features that we would like to have is a live markets feed, a market detail view, a wallet explorer, so you can actually type in a wallet address and then see what their profit and loss is, the trades they've made, etc., which can be pretty interesting. Additionally, a heat map dashboard and then a trade log that will log specific trades over a specific time period. Then, of course, the stack is just denoted as kind of like generic, like full stack stuff, something that should look pretty good. So to begin, I am just going to paste this prompt in here, and there is this little lightning emoji here as well, which we can toggle, and if we do toggle it on, which I am of course going to do, we will get high effort, which will use more credits, but it will make the end result look better and more aesthetically pleasing, which I do very much want. So as we press enter here, we're going to see that it will probably have some follow-up questions for us just based off of what I would expect from an agent, and then when we answer those, we will get to building. Okay, and as we see right here, we do have the follow-up questions. So the first is, how frequent do we want the trades to be logged? I think every minute should be good for this. Historical data retention, how long should the trade log database retain historical data? Okay, before it would flush it. 7 days is going to be fine for that. All right, so I've answered the follow-up questions here, and I've actually told it to exclude politics. I don't know how it will go about doing that because I didn't really include that specific information in the prompt, but that may then culminate in some of its research capability where it will have to go and find that out on its own. And what we're going to see soon here is this will open in some form of split window or artifact looking window, where when it begins actually building this out, we'll be able to see some more information, even the scripts getting generated here in the side. And as we can see now, the artifact window has just opened, and we can see this is performing tasks in the Ubuntu sandbox, which is pretty cool. And we can also see the specific tasks that are being run as it does this. It is now just generating a lot of the scripts, and inevitably I think there will be a pretty decent amount of code that gets generated for this specific task, and we can see that is occurring right now, and it will just keep us updated on its specific process as it goes about doing this. Now we can see it's writing out some of the more stylistic elements that will define just how our website will look and feel. And I did say just kind of make it like financial-ish looking, so it'll probably have some like blue modern tech aesthetic or something of the sort. Now, while it probably can't be seen because that's where I put my head in the video, in the bottom right, it is telling us two metrics. One is which task it's doing, so it is just on one specific task, which is the entirety of this one prompt we gave it. However, it also lists out subtasks, and currently we're at 35 of those, and subtasks can kind of just be thought of like writing these files and then doing some of these commands and things like that. All right, so some of the commands we're starting to see here just occur in this kind of artifact interface would lend themselves to very likely we're going to be able to see our results soon, which I am a bit excited about, as I do always like the financial dashboard sort of stuff, and especially being able to make them. And something cool about Polymarket and using those specific APIs is it's not really locked or like paywalled or anything like that. They're free to access. You don't need to authenticate. And okay, you might not like use them for like really high-end like Superman trading stuff, but it's just cool as well from an educational perspective, even to get a feel and start to understand some of like this financial stuff, I guess. Oh, all right. So it has changed here now. So if we go to click on this preview button, it's going to say build in progress, try again once complete. So this is building it right now, and it will take a little while, as it says right here, until we get to see our preview. But I am quite excited because soon we will now actually be able to see this. And then as it lists right here, you can manage the app from the app management console and set it up on your own custom domain. But we're also going to have the option here to click this little rocket deploy button, and we can just put it on like a subdomain for Abacus AI so that we can test it live online. Okay, Polyscope is live, so we're getting closer. All right, it's been built and deployed. Here we go. Let's see. First impressions. Oh yeah, it's blue. Loading my, all right, it does work. Okay, so auto refreshes every 30 seconds. I think I said a minute, but you know what, whatever. Okay, we have, didn't I say no politics? I could have sworn I said no politics, right? All right, so I want to take more of a peek at this, but the thing is, I'm noticing two things. One, I had told it that I don't want politics, and I see politics here, so I'm going to be sending one heck of an angry message back to this agent. But prior to that, I actually want to deploy this so we can look at it live, like in a native browser. And one of the things we can do here, aside from just putting it on one of our own custom domains or a subdomain of one of our own domains, we can just put it on an Abacus AI subdomain for simplicity and ease of use. I want to write like Bijutarius Maximus, but I'm not going to do that. I should probably just name it like. And we have our deployed URL right here. So hypothetically, if I click this, we should be able to see our Polyscope dashboard live in the net. And we do have that. All right, let me get familiarized with this. I do see a live data thing here, and it does have the glow to indicate that the live data is occurring. Let's see recent. Okay, and I want to make sure that when we actually click on these, it does change the specific data that is being shown to us. That is very good. And then we have liquidity. So it's showing us 50 markets right here. We can even search. So what's like, I'll search Apple. Okay, no markets found for that. Bitcoin. Okay, so the search function does work as well. Some of the stuff that I see here is just, I'm more interested in this from a technical standpoint than a sociological standpoint. To put it simply, we also do have our heat map right here, and this looks pretty good. So we can see most of these are trending no, but some of them are trending green. Let's see, okay. And if we click on this, good. So this is actually giving us some pretty good information in terms of specifically like when we click on one of these markets. So let's go back to the heat map and then click on that same one. That looks pretty good in my opinion. It does have proper like dashboard UI aesthetic. There is no price history available currently, and this will need to be logging kind of trades as they happen. So that will be visualized here in the trade log. But we also have an order book depth chart. We have the percentage as well and some recent trade snapshots, which our app should be actually logging right now. So, okay, cool. So we have 20 records stored, auto polls every 60 seconds, and it seems like we also have the option here to poll now. So if I click this, it should jump to 40 records when it polls. Okay, cool. And it will auto poll every 60 seconds. And then cleaned, if you recall, it asked us a question like, how long do you want the data to be held? And I said a week. So I would imagine after that 7-day time span, it will start to clean some of the older like trades here. Now, something else I want to check is this Wallet Explorer. Now, I need to actually go and find an interesting Polymarket wallet address, and then when we put it in here, we should be able to see some like pertinent statistics about it. All right, I'm having trouble getting the Wallet Explorer lookup to actually return, and I do believe these are functional and real wallets. So I'm just kind of mentally creating a list of things that I'd like to give this as an additional improvement just based off this initial result. And I believe now with the culmination of not being happy with the Wallet Explorer, I do have some follow-up words for this. All right, bro, listen up. So I've given it some additional information for our second iteration of what we're going to see here. First and foremost, it needs to figure out a way to filter the politics out so we don't have to look at that. Next up, the Wallet Explorer is not showing wallet info when we type one in, so I've told it to fix that as well as preload it with some wallets that we can just click on and explore without needing to really like find them online and then paste them in. Then finally, for a UI overhaul, I have told it to make the UI more aggressive and go full r/WSB style, which is of course the Wall Street Bet subreddit, which has its own style of lexicon and behavior, one could say. So we'll see how we can ascribe that to our Polyscope dashboard right here. We now have a to-do list, and it will go through and function and do all of these to-do things. Oh, okay, good. So as we're seeing right here, it is now showcasing its search functionality, and this is something that I did not see in the first go around when we actually had this being built, because I did give it all of these specific API endpoints and things like that for Polymarket, but this is exactly what I want to see right here, where it is actually searching the documentation. Additionally, it's perhaps going to search for some Wall Street Bets aesthetics. Oh goodness. Okay, I see right here. Overhaul UI to WSB aggressive style, rocket emojis, diamond hands, tendies, green-red aggressive colors, and meme energy. That is specifically exactly what I want, but I'm also happy that we got to see some of the search capabilities as well, and it seems like it's now just going to start overhauling the actual code and things of that sort. Now the big one, complete WSB style UI overhaul. Let me rewrite all the front end components. All right. If we do see some of the code being written here, we'll likely start to see some diamond emojis, rocket emojis, and mentions of tendies, which would fit into like that sort of meta style. Build passes, let me verify the Wallet Explorer fix in the browser since it was a user reported issue. So look at this. It's actually in its little virtual environment system right here. It's performing computer actions and functions in its own in the way that it deems necessary. So it's probably giving itself screenshots, wait, key, left click. This is actually very cool. And this is something I find to be very, very interesting about this agent is just the ability to have this little sandbox to do things. And I don't specifically know what it's going to do. Okay, good. So that is exactly what it was going to check. And now we see our first visual look at this, which I didn't expect to see it through the autonomous computer use agent that's built in here, but that is pretty cool. I do see okay, I didn't see any politics, and now it's actually going to check the wallets as well autonomously. So this is actually performing some autonomous software testing and stuff like this in the way we see it right here. So if we scroll down in the left, okay, this looks much better. I really do like this UI. We see everything it's doing right here. So computer action, and this ties directly into a lot of like what's important right now, at least in like the AI world, is the ability of these models to actually autonomously navigate around computers and perform these tasks, which we just saw this thing did entirely in its sandbox. And this is a very, very cool feature, something I really do like and am impressed with. I didn't really expect to actually see that, so I'm happy that we saw it autonomously checking without me actually having to do anything, even though it spoiled my first impression of seeing the WSB UI reskin. All right, and now it's going to save this and deploy it, and I'll probably have to open that in a new browser because the old look UI right here will probably be cached. And it's also telling us what specifically the issue was with the wallet not showing up. The API was using the address parameter instead of the user parameter. Now everything's working. Let me save it and deploy. And additionally to this, once we just redeploy it, we'll also be able to just download the entirety of what it's made here as a zip file. Interesting. So it's even giving me a follow-up suggestion right here. One thing worth considering, you could add Google Analytics to track user engagement and app performance. It would let you see which views get the most traffic, markets versus heat map versus Wallet Explorer, how long they spend on the dashboard, which markets. So that's interesting, and that speaks to some of the additional integrations that are possible with the Abacus platform, is that you could just have it pipe that in and set all that stuff up. And there's a bunch of other I got distracted from that emoji, and a bunch of other integrations that are possible here. All right, so we have it loading the tendies. All right, I like that. And we do see here that there is no more political slop filling up my viewport, which I'm quite happy about. Oh, we see some F1 Drivers' Championship, lots of sport things. Would these fall into politics? I guess not. I guess those are kind of like finance. All right, I'll accept those being in there. I also find it interesting that it kind of ascribed the WSB style speak to itself when telling me it should be live in 5 minutes, and then LFG rocket emoji. Now, there are two things we can do. One is, of course, just look at the end generated result live online. It also does give us the option here to preview it in mobile view as well, which is interesting to see. But I can also click on this, and then this actually gives me the option to view all of these specific files that were created for this project, of which there are quite a decent amount of. However, we can also download this as a zip file. And we see when we download it as a zip file, we can then just basically open it on our local system, and it exists saved on said system. So we're going to have to wait a little. It's not fully deployed yet. However, something I actually do want to do is I can also go to this because this is loaded online. So let me type in the URL. Okay, and so it is live there, but it's still just showing us the old version. So the new changes have not yet been reflected or propagated across the World Wide Web. So we'll wait for those and then we'll peek. Okay, good. I just reloaded it on the phone, and we can now see that it is mobile ready, or the changes are ready as well. Actually, to be honest with you, it probably can be hard to see, but this doesn't seem to look too bad on the phone, and I'm just trying to navigate through the reflection. I saw something there loading. I would imagine it said tendies or something. We also have, what would that be? The, not the heat map, but the order book. What is this called? Order book depth. Yes. Hey, I'm learning something from all this stuff. And then recent trade snapshots. There, this is probably a bad way to look through this when we can just look at it on the screen recording here on the computer. I like this UI much better. It even has a green scroll bar on the side, which, okay, let's take a look. Loading market details, very good. We have our order book depth, and price history is not currently populated, or trade snapshots because our trade log has not yet, oh, okay, been populated, and now it has. But I still think that, like, in terms of seeing some of the price history, I think it has to run for a while and collect data for this to happen. That would make sense, being that this just went live, so it wouldn't really have gathered any specific price action yet. That makes sense. But we do have some recent trade snapshots here, and there's a skull for no price, as well as volume and order book depth. This is almost like as close to hard no as one could ever see in their life. Interesting. All right, we have our heat map here. Let's just click on one of these. Something game related, apparently. I don't know. I'm not really nerdy enough to know this stuff. But we have our order book depth, and then price history and trade snapshots are not really populated yet for any of these, though I am now interested, of course. Let's take a look at our Sports Whale wallet. What did that say? It said something there. Stocking this Degen's wallet, I think is what it said. Wow. Okay, this UI looks pretty good. Total trades, how many attendees they have, their win rate, 100%. This is very interesting. So, I mean, I'm going to just now write a bot that'll just like follow these wallets, kind of like a whale when like the barnacles stick on them or whatever, and matches those trades. Okay, so we can look up, and then we can also see, like, if I just add some gibberish there, nothing will pop up. So that is actually a legitimate wallet that has appeared there. We also did notice there was another one, active trader. Okay, and this one seems very political. Interestingly, though, I'm not seeing any specific metrics here in terms of how many attendees they have or their win rate, but that was present for the other wallet there. And we can close the sidebar, and the UI actually looks nice even with the sidebar closed as well. Then, of course, our trade log. Okay, good. And I was just watching it to make sure it did auto poll, and as we just saw right there, it did. So now we have 80 records stored. Good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. This is overall, this is well done. And I do have to say, the initial result we got, it was kind of boring. And I think the WSB aesthetic being ascribed to how this should look really added a lot to this. We also have like fresh liquidity. And then, oh, that's our poll countdown timer, I do believe. Is it showing us in intervals of... Oh no, that's just how many markets appear for each one of these, I think. Don't quote me on anything I just said. Let's see, Bitcoin. Good. What else? Like Ethereum. Good. AI. Very good. Okay, so it's just doing like a, because AI trail, so it's matching it that way in terms of lexicon. I like this. And then it has a little floating rocket here. I have to say, I'm quite pleased with this overall. And really, I mean, this happened pretty fast in terms of from start to finish here. This worked relatively quickly, but to be honest with you, it's cool. We made something that's actually kind of neat and does show some like accessibility with the Polymarket API. There's definitely more you could do with this depending on the way someone wanted to take this, besides just being like a cool tech demo. But I do have to say, one of the things that I really was very impressed with and sold on that I didn't even know I was going to see was when it actually went in to this little computer sandbox thing that exists, which we can see, I believe we're actually viewing this through as well. And then it autonomously went to the URL, which was localhost 3000 on this virtual system, and then started searching things and made sure that the wallet search worked and there were no politics and things like that. That was like a through and through agentic functionality and what we got to witness here. So that was pretty cool, and I was very happy to see that. Now, really, there's some other deployment options you can undeploy. They have the deployment dashboard and things like that in this app management console, where I could put this on my own custom domain and things like that and manage it. And there's more like database or text style visuals in that UI as well. So really, that's going to conclude our full test of the Abacus AI agent. It happened quickly, and this was very good, I'm going to say. The troubleshooting capability and the way it functions agentically was quite impressive, and I do have to say, it's just interesting to have some like base things you can build off from here, but I do like always doing something that is strictly more financial focused, although they do specifically have some stuff here as well. There's also the mention of OpenClaw, being that that is so hot and popular right now. So for anyone interested in actually using this, there are going to be pertinent links in the description and things like that to initiate your own WSB style financial dashboard. Again, this was actually this was well done, and I was almost more impressed with the improvement from the first result we got over the second, and I like seeing it function as well as it did in the way that it was like, okay, I'm going to actually go to this website and verify functionality, which was very like a modern way for an agent to function. So that's going to conclude today's video and first look and test of the Abacus AI agent. Overall, I am quite pleased, as I've probably said multiple times now, and basically, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and thanks for watching. Also, I'll be listing a course for my Polyscope dashboard on school, so no, I'm kidding.